intelligencesquared.com.
I think the lesson we can draw from Hannah's list of forthcoming debates is that contentiousness is what sells. And so I hope that we're going to follow in the footsteps of Christopher Hitchens tonight, and I hope the panel is going to be very contentious indeed, because this is a debate which could not be more timely. It was dreamt up by Intelligence Squared earlier in the year, but of course last week saw the launch of the Intergenerational Foundation, which is there to campaign for equality between generations. And their stance is basically that indeed the baby boomers have stolen the family silver, not to mention taken all the houses and ought to get out of them as soon as possible to make way for the young. And it's also noticeable that the Occupy London demonstrations are basically, although they are partly about class, they are also very largely about generational inequality. And we all know what the basic framework of this argument is about. It's undoubtedly true that there are a great many people from the baby boomer generation who benefited from every good thing that life had to offer. They not only had sex before the age of AIDS, but they also got the houses, which were very cheap, they got the free university educations, and they've ended up with a great deal of wealth in their houses, and they're expecting fantastic pensions. And they're still expecting the young to pay. And the young are now growing up in an entirely different universe, in which it's no longer possible for ordinary people to buy houses in their 20s, in which there are no secure jobs with final salary pensions any longer, and in which they're being told that they have to pay many thousands of pounds for their university educations. So to some people, it seems, on the face of it, completely obvious that this is unfair and that something has to be done. Now, we've got a very distinguished panel here tonight, but just before I introduce them all, I just want to remind you all how the debate operates. You will have voted before you came in to the hall. And when all the speeches have been made and the questions from the floor have been heard, then the panel are going to make some closing speeches. And while they do so, we would like you to vote. And what's always fascinating about these debates is to see whether at all the panelists manage to change your mind. So while that's going on, can you post in the box which will be coming round, either tear this apart and post either your for or against card into the box, or if you're undecided, post the entire thing. And if anyone would like to tweet about this while it's going on, then the tweet hashtag is IQ2 silver, and we'd be glad if you did. Now, our panel tonight is David Willetts, the Minister of State for Universities and Science, and he wrote a book full of foresight and insights called The Pinch, How the Baby Boomers Took Their Children's Future and Why They Should Give It Back. And as we were debating just before we came on stage, it's fascinating that the man who wrote such a book should now be in a position to interrogate the university's minister about why he has so raised tuition fees. Against the motion, we are going to have Ed Hauker, who's associate editor of The Spectator. And it's quite curious that he's against the motion because he too is the author of a book on this problem called Jilted Generation, How Britain Bankrupted Its Youth. Then speaking with David for the motion is Laurie Penny, spokesman for the younger generation and journalist for The Guardian and The New Statesman. And against the motion, we have Frank Furedi, professor of sociology at the University of Kent, and his many books include Paranoid Parenting.